Hey, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Renegade Radio. I'm recording this intro roughly a week after the recording with Kayla, but just wanted to give you guys a little bit of a heads up that going into this one's going to be a little bit more for the family. And what I mean by that is just that because both Kayla and myself are Christians, there's just a little bit more Christian terminology. But what we talk about is going to be hugely, hugely useful for all of us. So make sure that, so even if you're not a believer, that's okay. That's fine. Stay with us. You're going to get a huge amount of value out of it. But really, that's about it. So want to make sure I just give you guys that heads up. Anyway, let's get back into the show. This is a Renegade Radio, season number 2, episode 014, featuring Flex Your Feminine's founder, Kayla Brooks. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Renegade Radio, the one podcast that's meant for us innovators, disruptors, misfits, for square pegs in a round hole, and for those of us who just do not like the status quo. It's been a hot second since I've been able to say hi to you guys, but we have a very, very special guest that I am excited to have, because I'm never sure where these conversations go. That's what makes it awesome. Ladies and gentlemen, I have none other than Miss Kayla Brooks here. I want to say in studio, but she's in the computer.
I know.
And anyway, so she is somebody that met through a business networking group through Taylor Welch's deal, and somehow I don't exactly even know how did we connect. I don't even
We
know
can I
how
think
that.
it was David. I think it was David's fault. We can blame David. It's just like
David.
all three of us are the fitness people in the mastermind, so it was like we just ended up together.
We just gravitated toward
Yeah,
each other.
the
Oh,
gravity.
okay. Well, I'm sure David is going to love the fact that we're going to blame the introduction on him. He'll get we'll make sure he gets the first cut of this
Yeah, there
episode.
you go.
Well, Kayla, thank you so much for joining us, and I'm
Thank
really happy that
you.
you're here. And I already have a good feeling about about what we're about to embark upon. Why don't you go ahead and let us know who is Kayla Brooks?
Kayla Brooks is dangerous. You know that.
Love it. That's a great start. Nobody has started out that way.
Yeah. My mission is a bit dangerous. I resonate with your intro for the podcast because it's a total industry disruption, right? Is what we do. So, my introduction to the fitness industry was my retirement from the fashion modeling industry. So I was a runway model. I lived in New York for a while. I became very unhealthy, and so that is what led to my retirement. My doctor
What do you
basically
mean? What do you mean by unhealthy?
I was really struggling with anorexia and eating
Mm,
disorder. So had a very disordered relationship with my body and with food. In that industry, that is very par for the course, unfortunately, in that industry.
mm,
So that my doctor literally told me, well, you could keep going in this career and probably be very successful, but you'll lose the ability to have children in your future.
mhm,
And that was like a wake up call for me at I think I was almost, or maybe I had just turned 19 at that point, and I was just nowhere near ready to have kids or decide never to have kids. That was just ridiculous, right? I was like, wow, that's a startling wake up call for me. I'm not healthy.
mm,
So my first fitness and nutrition certification was specifically just to learn how to be healthy and get myself healthy.
mm,
And I never planned on doing anything with that certification process other than just taking care of myself. I was going back to school to be a dentist when I retired from modeling. So totally, totally like hobby mode with learning about nutrition and exercising and getting into the gym myself and really getting healthy and falling in love with it in that regard. And then I ended up becoming a trainer part-time to like work my way through college, but I fell in love with it and it became an entire career change.
mm,
So that led me down multiple different roads that were really cool, including bodybuilding, where I got into NPC bikini bodybuilding and I was multi-champion for multiple years. And I retired from that in 2016. And then that was really when I retired from that world, the bodybuilding world. When I retired from that, that was really where the Flex Your Feminine framework, which is my ministry and brand now, and my protocols now, that's really where that was born because I realized that the fitness industry overall, there's quite a bit of a trickle down effect from the bodybuilding aesthetic community, and nothing about that industry is healthy. So, um, I think you and I talked about this a little bit in May, where it's just the standards are very, very different. And so I have that background between the beauty and fashion industry. I call it the hyper feminine toxicity industry and
Mm,
the hyper masculine toxicity of the bodybuilding industry, where it's just all hustle, grind, scarcity, fear,
mhm,
manipulation, and hyper control, hyper fixation on the aesthetics and at the expense of function and fertility and co
mm.
creative capacity that God has given us in our biology. So, those two experiences in my background combined to birth Flex Your Feminine, which is what I do now. So,
Talk about a little bit the beginning of Flex Your Feminine. How did that name come about? Because I know, because at least amongst believers, the ones that I've spoken to thus far, there is some kind of connection of what we do, what we believe, and how we execute on it. And it sounds like with Flex Your Feminine, it has that same type of thread as well. Can you explain how you came up with that and what kind of I know we know what started it now, but how did it finally come into fruition?
yeah, coming into fruition was actually a long journey. I came up with the name back in, I think, late 2016 after I had left the bodybuilding industry, but I wasn't really operating under that name until 2020, and then not fully 100% focused on it until the end of 2023. So there's a bit of a there's a bit of an offshoot off ramp here in 2020. I opened a gym locally with a business partner, and
Mm,
that was under a different brand. So it wasn't Flex Your Feminine focused, although there was multiple things that I was integrating with that business as a brick and mortar very successfully to help people that I still use in my frameworks today. But it was a gym, It was I ran the semi private training program. My partner kind of took over the group fitness and one on one training. We had multiple programs running, and it was super fun and successful membership based community. So Flex Your Feminine went through multiple iterations from the end
mm,
of 2016 to the end of 2023, and to step into it fully in 2023, I already had the name. I had heard that from the Lord and just never questioned it again. It was just something where in the fitness industry, I had experienced very, very hyper masculine, hustle oriented, um, just eat less, move more, rest when you're dead, never miss a Monday, don't take a day off, just be 1% better than you were yesterday in perpetuity ad nauseum. It was just like, this is not sustainable at all. And
yeah.
it became very obvious to me through my almost 2 decade career now. It's crazy it's that long. That there was just no room for the feminine in the fitness
Mm,
industry. We in the bodybuilding world specifically, but I saw it trickle down into gen pop culture with fitness as well, with CrossFit and other things. We are just contorted as women. We are contorted into the mold of what the science based bro industry perpetuates. And
mm,
I'm not knocking the science based industry. I love these guys and I think that they do great work, but there's zero tolerance or room for nuance, let alone female physiology being a little different than you guys. Just a little
mhm.
different. Um, we're all human and Homo sapien, yes, but there's a lot of differences. from physiology to psychology. There's so many differences. So
Oh,
flex your feminine was
100%.
just kind of my it was the Lord telling me that you need to do this differently. You need to cast your nets on the opposite side of the boat.
Hmm.
So,
Let's kind of follow this line of thought here, and probably 2024, I wanna say, even before I fully launched into Renegade, I started listening to more doctors, female doctors, and it
right,
started going down, and even now, I still think there's still quite a few menopause doctors that are, coming out and saying like, "Hey, the science and the studies, most of the time it's guys who are doing it, and then from the male side, and it's not like just exactly what you said. The nuance and the differences isn't they're not it doesn't really necessarily line up with the actual woman's experience for the most from
right,
what I'm understanding.
right.
Um from your practice, your ministry, and what you've done thus far, what do you believe, and or what you have encountered so far, what do you believe most women probably need to know that they don't know now?
I think that they need to know they're not broken.
Hmm. In what sense?
I think in my experience, women feel like no matter what they do, no matter what they're trying, and they're doing everything, right? I'm
Hmm.
sure you've heard that before too. I've tried everything. I'm doing
Mhm.
everything. I'm a good girl. There's a big good girl complex.
Hmm.
Um, they still feel broken.
Hmm.
And if they have found some sort of success, AKA fill in the blank result that they want, okay?
Hmm.
Um, it is short-lived and it's unsustainable. The protocol that was required of them to get those results is not the same protocol that will sustain those results, and they're not taught that results are actually meant to be loyal, not this cat and mouse game, hard to
Hmm.
get thing. Um, and so they will feel broken because they're never shown the other side of that wilderness season of hustling to get the result. They're never shown how to maintain or sustain it. So they feel broken
Mhm.
because they can't sustain it the way that the guys do. It's so easy for the guys, you know?
We do
Um,
have it easier.
a little bit in different ways, yeah.
Yeah.
And then the other side of the coin is the women who and I fell prey to this myself when I was in my bodybuilding years, who masculinize themselves in order to maintain the results that they're given from the masculine matrix.
Wow, interesting.
So there's and again there's so many rabbit holes we could go down on that topic, but those are my two kind of camps that I would say for this conversation. I don't think women know that. I don't think
Mm,
that they see let me rephrase that. I think that they have not been shown anything better.
mm,
They have just been shown the status quo as the mainstream industry gives them. And I don't hate the mainstream industry, don't get me wrong, but I cannot ignore the gaps, you know? And there's a lot about the industry that is not it is not according to God's design. It's
mm,
anti-life. And, with women as the portal to life, you need to act and be and do differently. And there's
mm,
just not voices in the industry really talking about that. I'm glad that there's voices in the industry now sharing, like female doctors and sports therapists and
mhm,
exercise researchers. We're finally seeing now a little bit more conversation around female physiology and specific ways to tend and care for female physiology through different avenues, whether that be training or nutrition, supplementation. etc., nervous system work, trauma informed, right?
Hmm. Mhm.
But um, connecting the spiritual to it and the psychosomatics is really, really important. And
Absolutely.
there's not there's not another voice doing that I can find to the extent that I'm trying to. So
Hmm.
that's my goal.
Yeah, I love it. So let's bring rebellion all up in this mess. That's
Yeah.
I'm all for
Yeah.
it.
Rebellion
The
against God's design. That's the whole thing.
Right, and that's what, a lot of things are from a physical therapist standpoint,
Yep.
that's what is getting people into trouble. Their shoulders are hurting, their back is hurting, their knees are hurting because what you've mentioned touched on earlier of like, you never skip leg day or you never skip and nobody's like, "Hey, man, you probably need to just chill for a week,"
Yeah.
you know,
Have you
and,
heard of the
but
deload? Yeah.
right, exactly, and so, it is yeah, it's just really funny, but, the, oh, what I wanted this is what I wanted to ask, because I'm gonna give just a little bit of context for the audience here. Kayla
Yeah.
and I had the opportunity in, I believe it was the end of June,
End of May.
we oh, was it end of May?
I
Wow,
know already.
we're into July.
Yeah.
Wow,
Yeah.
okay, end of May, thank you for that, where we went to Nashville and we did this, self-concept, identity workshop thing, which was eye-opening.
Incredible.
I'm
Yeah.
still still processing.
Yes.
Um,
Same.
and anyway, so we did this exercise, and I'm setting this up for you, Caleb. But we did
Okay.
this exercise where um we had to essentially imagine we're in a closet and our clothes are all labeled, and then like what did we see ourselves wear and all this other stuff. But something that you were talking about, Kayla, is kind of in relation to that exercise that we did.
Hmm.
The labels that you believe women are wearing right
Yeah.
now, what do one, I guess this is a two-part question, is one, what do you believe most of them are wearing? And then and you might have kind of picked up on this during both modeling and bodybuilding, but when do you think women are starting to pick up this belief system of "I'm broken"?
Yeah. Um, Unfortunately, there's, I think, generational programming
Hmm,
in utero for quite
mm,
a bit of us because our mothers and our grandmothers have not healed this. So there's a lot of women in the millennial bracket, which is my group, um, who are waking up to this and are breaking generational curses so that they don't
amen.
pass this on to their daughters and their nieces and their friends' daughters, which is beautiful to see. And this is, I don't say any of that to blame our predecessors. Okay. It's
Right.
just,
They just
we
didn't
do
know.
they just didn't know what they maybe now know later or what we are
Mhm,
learning now. So there's no blame there whatsoever. It's just an acknowledgement of the reality. So I think that some of it is that. And I don't say that either to make victims of anyone who downloaded this programming in utero.
mm,
Um, we're not victims. We are victors, especially if we believe in Jesus Christ, our Lord and Savior. But you also have to
amen.
stand in that authority and actually take action there. So waking up to the reality of that maybe being present for you from before you were even born, just downloaded, uploaded into your subconscious, that's one step. The next thing is that it's reinforced from the get-go. From the day you drop out of mom, even if there isn't an in utero subconscious programming with a belief system around it. It is exposed to us in culture
Mm,
constantly from the get go.
mm,
So everywhere we look, every form of entertainment, every photoshopped image, every celebrity that is promoting the next pill, potion, shot. Um, Same thing in the fitness industry to another extreme. every supermodel that you look up to, every distorted, contorted beauty standard in our culture is
Mm.
designed to make women feel broken. Because if
Mm.
we are busy, we're too busy feeling broken and trying to fix ourselves to be able to orient around the identity that God has given us and the mission and assignment that God has given us in this life. That's an easy win on the battlefield of spiritual warfare for the enemy.
Mhm.
We're just distracted and divided by our own bodies, believing
Mm.
that we're broken and we're
Mm.
just projects to fix. So that's why my tagline for my ministry is your body is the temple, not a trend. Because
Mm.
with each generation we see,
Mm.
and this goes for men too, but I mean, I just obviously I specialize in women, but I see it in the men's world as well. Um, there are trends unique to each generation, you know. For example, in the 90s, it was heroin chic. We had Kate Moss walking
Mm.
runways. We had these 90s supermodels and Victoria's Secret supermodels that were just, you know, the
Rail
wafy,
thin.
skeletal, again, heroin chic. I mean, we were glorifying and eroticizing heroin. You know, it was
Mm.
a body type. This is what women held them their standards to for beauty and desirability, according to the culture, and
Mm.
contorted themselves around. I mean, I think it was ephedrine that was really, really popular in the 90s that ended up giving
Mhm.
people a lot of heart conditions and became
Yep.
illegal because women were desperate for that look. And eating disorders also boomed, right?
Mhm.
Um, now we are then the pendulum swung in the 2000s and the 2010s to a little bit more curvy. We had the Brazilian, like, and Adriana Lima on the runways, Giselle Bunchen, Alessandra Ambrosio on the runways and on the covers of Vogue and magazines. And likewise, we had um, Jennifer Lopez, for example, in Hollywood and celebrity culture, right? Much curvier, but there was also kind of the coming into mainstream much more of Playboy, for example, and
Mm.
that body type, which is completely unattainable without surgery.
Mm.
So we had the rise in plastic surgery, where if you want to compete on the field of beauty, according to distorted standards of culture, you have to pay for it in more ways than one. Now you're not just
Mm.
sacrificing and being hungry all the time. Now you have to go under the knife and pay a really large bill in order to fit this standard of beauty and
Mm.
literally chop yourself up in order to fit the mold. And now with Ozempic, we are seeing the return of heroin chic. There's nothing new under the sun. They just call it different things, but each generation kind of has its own subliminal programming going on as to what's acceptable, what's desirable, what's attractive, what is beautiful. And every little girl wants to be pretty.
Mm.
She wants to be seen. It's a very
Mm.
feminine, God given desire is to be seen and received for who
Mm.
she is. And culture distorts that and says, well, you are pretty if you get a nose job.
Becomes a conditional.
It becomes conditional. Yeah.
Yeah. The To that point, I know I've said this on maybe another episode or 2, but the one of the things that really kinda drives me nuts, just grinds my gears is the normalization of for right now, is the normalization of these GLPs that are coming out.
Mhm.
Um, and it isn't just I don't even know how to phrase it anymore because I have clients that are on GLPs and it's
Mhm.
actually helped them quite a bit.
Yeah.
And but the thing is that they're clients, so they know how to operate within that context now, right? So
Yeah.
they understand that that this new lifestyle that, with lifting weights and eating protein and, making sure that they move more and all the, stuff that we prescribe them, they understand that now, but there's the whole other population that does not get that,
Mm-mm.
and it's this normalization of, what, that conditional of, what, you can have your cake literally and eat it,
Yeah.
and then but you're just gonna take this pill, or well, it's a pill now, and or inject it, so
I
that's
know.
just, and one of the, I wonder if I can overlay it here on Riverside. This, oh my gosh, I was about to be like, Jesus up in the temple. Something this showed up on my, as a commercial on NBC Peacock. I
Okay.
don't know if this is gonna get me blocked out or whatnot by mentioning that, but there was a commercial for Dairy Queen for, I don't know if you've ever seen this commercial before, but it was for breakfast ice cream. So they took the Cinnamon Toast Crunch, they took, I think, Fruity Pebbles or something, and
Oh
they sprinkled it
no.
over ice cream, and they're advertising it, and then there are kids in the commercial
Yeah.
eating this advertised breakfast ice cream.
Yeah. Here we go.
I I'm getting upset now, so we're gonna move on.
Yeah. It's
Um,
that is horrific. Yeah.
it's terrible what the culture, is just accepting.
Uh-huh.
Um, but, he the question I wanted to ask with what, because it's heartbreaking to hear that I have a niece who is, I think she's 6 years old, 7 years old now,
Okay.
and, and my brother and sister-in-law are doing a great job with the kids, but something that the question comes down to this: as a single man who is living in this world, but not only just a single man, but obviously one that believes in Christ, how do we, especially as believers, how do we help support and to come alongside you ladies to, I don't know, just to encourage, just so that we're not doing any more damage or anything else detrimental
Oh,
to what the culture is already presenting?
yeah. Um, I would start with your own perspectives and perceptions of women, femininity, and sex.
Hmm,
So don't first look at, well, how do I interact with a woman the right way? Or how do I interact with my niece like the perfect right way so I can protect her? Even though those intentions are really good, I would first start with the plank in our own eye, right?
hmm,
And so for men, I love you guys, but there's so many of you that are addicted to porn,
hmm,
and we feel it. Women feel it.
hmm,
You guys will say, "Oh, I don't struggle with it," or "Only every once in a while," or "It's really not that big of a deal. Don't take it personally. It's not about you. None of it
hmm,
matters." Frequency wise, energetically
hmm,
wise, all we hear is that you have a harem and we will never compete.
hmm,
We will never live up to your fantasies. And now we don't have the safety with you, our man, our king,
hmm,
to be able to become your fantasy or fulfill your fantasy. Without that safety, we have nothing.
hmm,
So for men, again, holding yourselves to a higher standard of how you operate within your own inner world, that will directly affect the way that you are energetically affecting the women around you and the feminine around you. The way that the
right,
feminine is able to co create with you, not even talking about procreation. Co creation is a frequency. You guys have sisters and mothers and aunts. None of this should be sexual. But if your own sexual energy is leaking through something like pornography, every woman feels it and has betrayal trauma from it.
Hmm.
So
Oh,
we are here to help you men, not
hmm,
to serve you, but to help you. That's
mhm,
this is a circuitry that we were designed to operate within in God's order. And when you are leaking your potency, how are we supposed to multiply with you?
mhm.
Anything, money, children, business, ministry. So I would start there.
Yeah, that's a great point, and, I love the way that you put it too. That's I don't think I've ever heard it actually phrased the way that you have, and the fact that the between the frequencies and the energies that for us men, what we're putting out and how we're interacting with women is, um, that just helps put more thought into how you know, how we are interacting,
Yeah.
and I'm really hoping for the audience that this not I mean, not just only only for myself as well, but that, for the listening audience, in a world that's already seemingly fragile and
Mhm,
cracked,
mhm.
and is kind of in need not in kind of, but is in need of a reconciliation of how we interact with each other.
Yeah.
Uh, and I think that I think you hit the nail on the head with that one, Kayla. Um,
Redemption. Our God is a God of redemption. And I
amen.
say all of this,
Amen.
I just want to close that loop by speaking from the heart. I say all of this to encourage you men that
Mm,
you have more control over this than you think you do. You
mm,
have more of an impact available than you think you do. Um, this was something that unfortunately I had to deal with in my first marriage, and it has shaped a lot of the way that I see men and see myself. Gave me some opportunity to grow.
mm,
And there is so much more that is meant for us and designed for us when we learn to work together, not
mm,
only in sexual union or relationships, but just as God's image bearers. You're better than that. You're meant for more than that. And women are ready, like collectively. I work with a lot of women. We are so ready for our men to be able to stop leaking what we are
mm.
supposed to multiply with you. So
All right, boys, you heard it. Gotta gotta clean up our act.
you
Ladies are
got it.
waiting.
You got it.
Let's shift gears a little bit, Kayla. I want to kind of start drifting more into a little bit more into the business side, but
Mm,
I want to get into it from coming in at a faith angle, 'cause
okay.
especially considering that, you and I both have faith-based businesses and moving through it. So what was your I guess let's just start off with this. What is the vision that the Lord has given you for Flex Your Feminine for like, and you're just like, okay, well, what does that look like? And then not just ministry, but an actual business.
Yeah. I don't have much of a distinction between my ministry and my business. It's,
Love it.
Paul was a tent maker, and that helped to fund things that he wanted to bless people with, or just being able to travel and spread the message of the gospel. So, um, I don't know that I'm doing everything right with that. When I say like there's not much distinction, there really isn't. And maybe I'm not correct in that structuring, but it's getting more and more clear as I put one foot in front of the other. But the goal here is I have a coaching business and ministry right now with women, where I work with women in my group membership program called Temple. And I also have more of a one on one discipleship container called Inner Court.
Mm,
Eventually, the big goal is for my IP and frameworks to become licensable. So we will have curriculum
mm,
that will be partnering with churches and women's ministries and eating disorder clinics and things of this nature to be able to specifically reach women and girls with this message, to be able to get it to them hopefully younger and younger, so that they have a foundation to be able to go into this crazy world with and be able to recognize the psyops and um, the attacks on our identity from the
mhm,
culture, specifically around their beauty. And even homeschooling curriculums. I was homeschooled until high school, so I'm very fond of homeschooling, homeschoolers, and I'm familiar with the programs and will homeschool my children. My sister's homeschooling hers. So getting into that world as well is really
mhm.
important to me, and being able to offer accredited curriculum to the next generations.
Let me know how that licensing, because I was literally thinking about that. Was it yesterday or today? I
I'll
don't know, the
keep you
days blur
posted.
together.
It's a huge undertaking, and this is reasons why I need Taylor and the team, because I just like I don't know where to start, and yeah, they've helped me organize a lot. So we're a
Oh,
ways off from
awesome.
that. We're a ways off from that, but as far as like getting the curriculum structured, that's slowly starting to take shape, which is exciting. So,
That's beautiful. Love it.
yeah.
Love it. The This question popped up into my head, and I think off of the deep end,
Mhm.
they think 2, 3, maybe 4 episodes ago, I don't remember now. What are we? June? No, not June. We're July 10th as of recording. So, I don't know, this might have been a while ago, but there was a
Okay.
moment where I think, Taylor or maybe one of his guests were talking about a wilderness season before the actual promotion side came, and as a coach asking another fellow coach, I've been through my own wilderness, uh, and dark night of the soul season. I'm
Mhm.
curious as to before you started getting actually into Flex Your Feminine, or even maybe even during that process, did you start going through some type of wilderness season?
Yeah. Oh, yes. And I
Oh,
think
good. I don't feel alone
I
now.
oh, yes. Um, and I think that there are multiple wilderness seasons. I think that there are multiple promised lands in our
Mm.
lifetimes. Um,
What do you mean by that? Because there may be, if you could, because some of
yeah.
the audiences are not believers, so
Okay. So for non-believers, I like the dark night of the soul language. I think they might be able to resonate with that, where it's just like, okay, this sucks. This
yeah.
is a suck season. This is the messy middle. I don't like it. I want out. And there's the only way out is through. Okay. So
Yeah,
that's, let's
amen.
just kind of simplify the wilderness season language to that. Um, the promised land season is like the mountaintop. But the thing is that throughout my life and my career, I've just kind of noticed in different areas of life, there's at least one wilderness season waiting for you.
Mm,
So, relationships, for example, marriage, dating, etc. There's going to be dark nights of the soul, and there's going to be a wilderness season, breakthrough seasons, thresholds within that area of life.
mhm,
Personal health and wellness, same thing. I've definitely gone through my wilderness seasons there. Once with my eating disorder recovery, coming out of modeling, I would say, and then once in bodybuilding as well. Different in different ways. Modeling was more focused on food. Bodybuilding was more focused on body and hustle, ironically. So different ways, but yeah, I would say that there's wilderness seasons for our own physical relationship with our body, the intimacy with our own bodies, and how we are relating to it. Um, Business, same thing, business. I've gone through so many iterations with business. I mean, I was a private personal trainer for years. Then I went in a, I should say, in a big gym. So then I was like the head trainer in that big gym very quickly. That was a unique role. Then I went out on my own, entirely independent. That was had its own unique challenges. I wouldn't say I really got to my wilderness season until 2020.
Hmm.
So the first maybe 10 years or so of my career, 9 or 10 years, was regular kind of challenges. And I had my wilderness seasons in my own personal fitness journey and my personal relationships, a failed marriage, dating afterwards, a mess
Hmm.
in my 20s. Okay. So, like, those were my wilderness seasons. Business wilderness didn't really show up until 2020 to 2023, I would say. And
Hmm.
now I've been out of it for a few years. Um, So, yeah, I guess if that answers your question, just different areas of life require the refinement and the formation that a wilderness season or a dark night of the soul is meant to give us. And there's lessons to be learned, and those wilderness seasons will take as long as necessary or repeat if we do not learn the lesson.
Yeah, that is
So,
so true. I can confirm, ladies and gentlemen, that is very, very accurate.
yeah.
What was interesting is that, I think it was a couple of nights ago, again, I think it might have been from the same episode, but just as a visual person, I attempted to draw or chart out what the getting into the promised land, or in this case, ascension would, kinda look like.
Okay.
And and it was really interesting when I drew it out, and I just did it as like a stair step of like, "Hey, here's what life was like," and then, I hit the depression season, and then that just dropped me down way down, and then here's another line to represent the 18 some odd years that I was in, and then
Yeah.
but then it was these little what I realized is, like, from a time frame, it was just a little stair step at a time to
Yeah.
get even and even now, like, when the way I drew it, I'm not back at that same level. I think the Lord still has me stair stepping.
Yeah.
Um, and so, uh, the reason why I was asked you that question was biblically when we look at it. So if we start all the way from the beginning of the Bible and you look at the Israelites literally going through the wilderness, right? And then you
Yeah.
have David lives in a cave, and you go through Elijah also lives in a cave, things with caves. So
Here's the thing with
anyway,
caves, the
but it's
hidden
it,
season too.
and it's fascinating, isn't it, that it just so
Yeah,
happens that what you just touched on as far as like that messy middle that we just don't want to be in, but there's that other side that we don't consider necessarily because all we know is that we just want out. But in order to
yeah,
get out, we have that lesson, we have that refinement, we have something, that lesson to learn, something in that middle that we have to grasp before progressing forward.
absolutely. Yeah,
So it just helps to know that somebody else has endured and has also
yeah,
participated of that, whether we
absolutely.
wanted it or not.
Very, very common, I would say necessary human experience. If anyone's being honest, you have to admit that there's been at least a few.
Absolutely. Well, Kayla, as we start coming to a close to the episode, only a few questions left. Right now, are there so with your coaching currently, are you finding that there are, and I think we kind of covered it a little bit, but I just as far as like the GLPs and stuff like that, Are there any other trends? Have you been noticing patterns with any of your clients that are coming in that you're encountering?
Yeah, and I should say that my language that I use in marketing filters out, I think, a lot more of these women than used to.
Mm,
Um, so, like, I don't have to really sit on discovery calls or in my DMs with women who are necessarily bringing this belief system to me because if you land on my material, you're either going to fully resonate and be like, oh, heck yes. I've never heard anybody say it that way. Yes, this totally feels exactly like I didn't have language for it, but now I do. Perfect. Or it's going to be like, what the heck is wrong with this girl? And you're just going to like eject. You're going to eject yourself from my vortex. And that's fine. I'm fine either way. All love. It's all good. So I don't necessarily deal with this particular one with my current clientele or the women coming in on a consistent basis. But what I'm seeing in the industry at large is alongside of the GLP ones, like Wegovy and Ozempic and Tirzepatide, et cetera, really, really coming in hot. We simultaneously have a resurgence of, like I said earlier, the 90s heroin chic that is now not ephedrine. Um, it's not bolstered by ephedrine use or these like crazy drugs, but they're bolstered by GLP ones.
hmm,
And so you're getting that same heroin chic look from two different mechanisms or tools, but it's the same spirit of scarcity and deprivation,
hmm,
starvation, and fear that we were seeing in the 90s. Um, Simultaneously, alongside of that, what I'm seeing in the women collectively, not in my girls. Again, my girls are there because they like the way that I talk about it. But the girls that eject themselves, I'm seeing this resurgence alongside of the Wegovy, Ozempic, heroin chic look aesthetic to just eat less and let's do things for toning, like
hmm.
Pilates, like just do your soft girl walk, right? Don't don't lift heavy. God
Yeah.
forbid we get bulky, right? That whole thing
Yeah.
is it's having a resurgence. And I was really so proud of girls back in 2016 all the way up until now. Cause like for the last decade, I've really felt like we've reclaimed our personal autonomy and we've broken through this glass ceiling of these belief systems around being afraid of strength training.
Mhm,
Um, which we had beautiful examples of, like back in the golden era of bodybuilding in the 80s. We had women who were just gorgeously strong and feminine and not hyper masculinized.
mhm,
And I digress. So, the last 10 years or so, with research and a couple of really amazingly strong voices in really leading that research, like Stacy Sims, we've seen a lot of progress there in women
mhm,
getting into the weight room, lifting heavier, getting stronger, really sculpting their bodies, fighting osteoporosis. Just like it's been beautiful. And now I'm seeing this resurgence, thanks to Hollywood leading the way, of the aesthetic
mm,
goal now to be seen as beautiful is you need to look like a skeleton.
mm,
And that is going to require you being malnourished. There's going to be, I can see the writing on the wall, there's going to be a massive influx of low energy availability syndrome and metabolic suppression. And I'm
mhm,
already dealing with that kind of stuff in women because it's still been a fight to get women into the weight room, even though we saw progress. Getting
mhm,
them into the weight room was the first step. Getting them to start eating more still wasn't really
mhm.
happening. So
Yep.
yeah, we're still fighting that battle. So,
Mm,
the biggest things that I see right now in my own clientele is the vast majority of women coming to me are in dramatic metabolic suppression. They're
mhm,
having low energy availability symptomologies. Their body temps are really, really low. They
Mm,
are they're completely stagnated and plateaued with weight loss no matter what they cut their calories to. Um, they cannot sustain any sort of recovery from weight training, let alone perform weight training, resistance
just don't have
training
the
at a
fuel.
they don't have the fuel, they don't have the energy, they've got brain fog, they've got PMS, they've got PMDD,
Mm,
PCOS, insulin resistance, like, metabolically, their terrain is so unhealthy,
mm,
and so that's the big thing with clients that are coming to me that I address first, and that's what I call tier 1 in my
mm,
protocol. Um, there's 3 total, tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, and tier 1 is really, we gotta get you out of Egypt, and we gotta
yeah,
get you out of that scarcity-based thinking, that ecosystem, and into through the wilderness, which you're not gonna like, but you gotta get through it,
yep.
and that's where the formation happens so that you can get to the promised land and not just get the promised land results, but be able to keep the
Keep it.
territory.
Yeah.
Yeah, be able to sustain the territory. And you got to slay giants to do that. And it's not just, people think giants are, oh, I got to give up my soda. No, babe.
It's so true.
Oh,
It's so true.
I got to add 5 pounds to the barbell. That's my giant. No, babe.
No. No, no, no. If
That's
you think that's
cute.
your giant, it's gonna be a rude awakening when you
That's cute. That's just a little bitty giant. That's a
just
little
pat him on the
bitty.
head.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, we talk about big stuff. We're gonna have to do a part 2 because
Yeah,
we have bigger stuff to talk about. But yeah, that's kinda what I'm seeing is, in the collective, I'm seeing this resurgence of, "Let's be super skinny and look like
yeah,
walking skeletons, and we'll do it with the assistance now of GLP-1s and
mm,
peptides," which I'm not anti-peptide, but I'm very specific about what I use, why I use it, and if I use it with women. You have
mhm.
to have foundations in place first. This is not a magic pill. But people are
1,000%.
using people are using Ozempic and peptides like they're magic pills. And I'm just like, oh my God, have we learned nothing? And and simultaneously we are now fear mongering against strength training and eating adult sized meals, like, we're back to eating like birds. I'm just
Yeah.
like, "Oh my god, girls, come on."
It was
Yeah.
actually one of my female clients, maybe about 2 months ago. She pointed out to me that she also started recognizing this trend as well and started questioning, she's
Good.
like, "Hey, what happened to the women who were strong and lifting?" I'm
Yeah.
like, "I didn't even notice." I'm a guy, I'm oblivious to everything anyway, so I didn't know what what trends were happening or not
Yeah.
happening, and yeah, this is fascinating that it's rearing its head. One of, if
Everything's
to
cyclical. It's just cyclical. This is the way the enemy works. This is the way the world works, and the enemy works cyclically because he perverts and inverts everything that God created.
Yeah,
He counterfeits what God created. So we see these cycles of these patterns showing up in every area of life. My specialty is just seeing it in this industry,
yeah,
because it's the territory that I've been given to steward and interfere with, I guess.
yeah,
And so deconstruct. But yeah, it's this is, we wrestle not against flesh and blood. This is the
amen,
reality of the world we live in.
amen. Kayla, I want you to be encouraged because the women at my gym that I work out of are stronger than me.
Love it.
And, they lift heavy. They lift heavy
Good.
there, and,
Good.
it's just I look at my clients and I have to be honest with them. It's like, "Hey, look, the girls over there, they're squatting and deadlifting heavier than I can," and so now that challenges me because now
Yes.
I gotta yeah, I gotta promote myself somehow, right? So I gotta be able to lift heavy
It is
things too, so it's a challenge.
incredible. It is incredible when you see a woman realize what her potential is.
Oh, yeah.
It is incredible. There is, the highlights of my career because I spent 16 years in person with people every single day and,
Mhm.
men and women, but women have always had a special, special place in my heart because of that threshold moment where they realize,
I'm
"Oh,
strong.
I can do that? Oh, that's cool. I can do that?" Like, I'll
Yeah.
I'll I'll never forget, towards the end of my career with my facility, I was running classes and one of my girls, um, she hip thrust 300 pounds.
Holy cow, that's a lot of weight.
That's a lot of weight.
That's
That's
a
a lot of
lot
weight.
of weight.
And she was so terrified of
Mhm,
peak week, right? Because I
mhm.
progressive overload periodization. She was so terrified of peak week because she knew I was gonna make her do
Yeah, to literally
push her. Yeah.
push the weight,
And,
yeah.
she did it, and tears of joy from both of us, probably tears of relief on her part too, but I'll never forget it. I caught it on camera afterwards because I was just like, "You just did that." And she's like, "I'm a badass," like, through tears. "I'm
That's
a
awesome.
badass." And I'm like,
I
"Yes,
love it.
you are." Exactly.
Yeah,
And it's
I
just
love it.
seeing that glow up. It is a legit glow up in women, and it's not about the number. I mean, 300 pounds is impressive. That is impressive. I'm not
It's the
taking that from
empowerment
anybody.
realization.
It's just it's the personal threshold, that weight is gonna be relative to wherever your starting point is for
Yeah,
whatever exercise it is that scares you that you're making progress on, and I just want that for everyone. I want that for every woman because it bleeds out into every other area of your life. You
yep.
can go into that boardroom meeting and be a badass.
Mm,
You can
mm,
go into that birthing center and not be afraid of having your baby. You
mhm.
can go on that date with that guy that you think is out of your league or whatever and get him to marry you. Like, hello, you can literally go do anything that you've been designed to do. Keep it within the coherence of what God has given you and what he's called you to. Don't start taking steroids just so that you can get some sort of PR, all right? But
So
it's
true.
it's it's
So true.
beautiful. It's really,
Yeah.
really beautiful. Like, who says that you can't start that business?
Yeah,
Who told you that?
absolutely. You know what's really weird? I'm gonna go ahead and start bringing this to a close because I feel like we could definitely keep going off on this trail. But,
Okay.
and you know this from the windships. And something that I'm finding that I'm having this conversation probably a little bit more frequently now is helping people to identify that they are either now from a Christian terminology that you're either in the kingdom or you're in the empire, right? So, for those
Yeah,
of you who are not
love
believers, it's
that.
either that you live in this connected worldview or you live in the fear-based world. And
Exactly.
and you've talked about this, and touched on it beautifully and bringing up the fact that, there's that scarcity, there's fear, there's self-promotion, self-protection, there's
Yeah,
perfectionism, there's this
yeah,
idea that we can't fail sort of thing versus there's a mystery in which God has called us into, and that there's an abundance and God's forgiveness and love and everything that's the things that we seek and desire, and yet somehow even within this fitness world that it's kind of pushed us into the scarcity,
yes,
uh, empire world, that
yes.
weirdly we think that it's giving us life, but yet it's robbing our soul, and it's kind of
Entirely
like
transactional. Yeah,
yes. That was perfectly said. Um,
100%.
but yeah, so Kayla, let me yeah, thank you for being on. Before I ask the final question, where can people find you? Where can they connect with you for, especially if any of the ladies in the audience that are like, oh man, want to be able to be coached by Coach Kayla, where and how can they get in contact with you?
Easiest way would probably to just jump on over to my Instagram. That's where I'm hanging out the most online. It is Flex Your Feminine as the handle. And you can find everything there. You can DM me, just say, hey, I'm from Renegade, and just let's talk, let's hang out. You can follow my link there in the bio, check out my content, see what resonates. And yeah, it's probably the easiest. Just go over to my Instagram.
Perfect, and I'll make sure I'll have that linked up in the show notes, so guys, make sure that you click down through, and it'll be, I'll have her handle there. She has another link there for, I think it's her website, so, you guys
Yeah.
can go ahead and research everything that Kayla has to offer. Kayla, for the final question for today's episode, um, both you and I are coaches,
Mhm.
and let's imagine that in this world that God has given us the one opportunity to use this platform, YouTube, whatever, but it gets transmitted to the globe, and you have an opportunity to coach, give a message to the globe. What would that message be?
Your body is the temple, not a trend.
Beautiful. I love it. Simple and effective.
Simple.
Kayla, thank you so much for joining us here today.
Thank you so much. That was fun.
Awesome. All right, team. This is Coach Steve and Coach Kayla, as always, saying never conform.
Love it.